Here we are again. Going to do another one of these season-ending reviews, both from a spectator point of view and a commissioner point of view. I want to sort of go through each team, how I think they went, and then go through the actual competition itself and how I think that went, and sort of a review of myself, because I ended up having much more of an involvement in the outcome of things than I was intending to. More on that later. Congratulations to the Brimhaven Big Ballers for taking it out in a fairly decisive fashion, piling 230 hours on their opponents in the final, with an average of 925 hours per player. Pretty fucked up, honestly. That's a lot. I think 3 over 140. I think we only had 1 over 140 during the whole regular season. So yeah, they peaked. They peaked well at the end. I think these guys could have peaked well at the end, but they sort of, I don't want to say gave up, but they certainly stopped trying as much. See if I can get this in view. So that was the time graph for that week. Around about probably day 3. Imagine either this point or this point they kind of went, yeah, nah, we're not going to win, and you just had the guys who were going for the 250 smackers trying to take the individual MVP, which they did, so it was that. Overall, 8-1, 37 points, which means 5 bonus points, or winning bonus points. Tom is a first round pick. Very good, very good. I think he was the second place first round pick, yep. Defeated by Leafs Nicholas there, because he had the extra start on him. I think that was the final week, yeah, that rest final week. Yeah, 107 average, that's a lot. That's a shitload, eh? 105 average second. Paiseri, good second round pick. He played a lot early in the season. He got 127, 101, 112, and then he disappeared for a bit, came back, did 89, 98, and didn't play in the finals, but good pick. Erob ended up being a good pick. Was absolutely nowhere to be seen for the first 8 weeks. Played 111 in the week 9 there, came into the playoffs at 123 and 144, so that's not too bad. On a side note, I think there were like 4, technically 5 week records set this week. This could be a record for the most week records set in a week. I refuse to believe there's another week that happened. Andrew Wiggins probably performed a lot better than a lot of people expected him to. Pulled out number 8 in the end. I think he had 9 starts here, so he sort of built it up as it went along. He had 100, 82, 98, 73. Actually, on the mention of that, that chart of numbers I kept posting each week, for the last few weeks of the season, that was just how many players on their team had done a week with 73 in it. That's all it was. Somebody like half guessed it, didn't fully get it, but yeah, that's all it was. 90, 94, 118, that was a big week. 81, 88, and then I think he did another couple hundreds in the playoffs, 84 and 114, so yeah, he definitely stood up compared to the what he did in the end last season. Levine, I didn't agree with that pick so early on. Averaged 64, not great. He did do it was 107 in the finals, 89 in the semi. Yeah, I mean it ended up working out for them because they got their manager. Should probably talk about that as well, but we'll get to that. I think he could have been picked a bit later. Arlad, because I think that's Dale Rex. He performed pretty well. He was sort of a good substitute. Came in, did some, 80s pretty reliably when he was subbed in. Not really in any weeks that mattered, but oh well, he played in the playoffs. Didn't play in the playoffs. my apologies there. Probably another one could have been left a bit later. Thurko, I was surprised he was even picked up, honestly. Did really well though, average 101, peak 126. I think his average was a lot higher early on in the season. So you got 116, 73.73, 126, and then he didn't play for a while. Then another 100, and then bunch in the playoffs. Decent, and lowest in his team. Yeah, real good value for money pick there at 96. Did well. Definitely came in for his team. Killzone at 103, placing third. And somehow that's only the second best value for money pick in the competition. Just a bit fucky. But yeah, look at that. He only had eight starts. Average of 116. Could have been top if he had 9, because I remember it was week 2. He sat out and he still played quite a bit that week from memory. So he could have finished top. Jamal was a good late pick. Did a couple of big weeks in there, 126 on RPR when they fucking thumped them. Another couple of decent, 51. He did 140 in the final. Husks came off the bench a few times in weeks that didn't really matter. Glory's gang. Yak Boys, they lost that one, so he's responsible for their only loss. It's a bit embarrassing. And Team Death, so yeah, decent enough bench player. Aziz picked at 38, played 2 60-hour weeks before getting eventually traded away. Not the greatest showing. Probably their worst pick. Yeah, definitely their worst pick. Rank 1 HP. Didn't play the first week because he handed in his agility tickets. Then did 108 or 115, and then somehow dropped to only 66 the week after. Then the following week dropped to 17 hours and then didn't play for the rest of the season because he was permanently banned for botting and account sharing. That's unfortunate. That's not a good sign for the team when the manager is permanently banned for botting and for account sharing. He was probably the manager that I took most of a gamble on, in terms of I had absolutely no idea who he was before the season, but he made a compelling case for himself. He pretty much wrote in like a bloody essay asking for the position. I'll see if I can find it. Direct messages, where are we? Look at this. I'm getting a bloody essay written into the fucking application when everyone else was just like saying, hey, yeah, I'll join. So for the people who were saying, oh, he was only picked because he donated money, no, he was picked because he gave a shit. He cared. He wanted to do well. But didn't quite end up doing as well as he wanted. His team still won. Love the logo, love the name. Levine did well as a manager. And I'm happy they won. They were sort of the oddball, or one of the oddball teams of just a random ragtag group of people who didn't know each other before the season, and then started talking to each other a shitload. So the Discord server, I initially just set it up as just like having the normal channel and the manager channel to talk to people. Maybe a little bit of league discussion. Then Randy asked for a team channel for his team to talk in, which they never used. And then, more on that later. And then a couple other teams asked for their own channels as well. Brimhaven Big Ballers, as of like week 6 or 7, I think they moved to their own server, had 42,000 messages in their channel. I think the next highest was something like 10,000. So yeah, they really got together as a team. They really fucking pinged me a whole lot in their fucking channel. Because in case anyone was wondering, I didn't actually bother to read anyone's channels. I don't care what anybody who I don't actually know was saying. I didn't want to intrude on privacy. I didn't want to be able to see them in the first place, but people ended up using them, whatever. And the Brimhaven Big Ballers used it a lot. They talked a lot. They came together as a team, and they won with a pretty, like I said, ragtag lineup of people who didn't know each other before. Then the other pick I didn't talk about, Lord Blackout, traded in end of week 5, just before the trade window, just before the free agent week, and then dropped straight away afterwards. It was an interesting one. Yeah, good win overall. Catacomb Cats. Now, I'm a self-professed Catacomb Cats fan. I liked their initial draft. It was under the radar. It was possibly threatening. I know a lot of people looked at the team, looked at the manager, looked at the lineup and dismissed them and expect them to be the wooden spoon team. But you know, they got 6th. They made the playoffs. Big win week 1. Big win week 1. Big win week 2. I think they were in like 3rd or something at this stage. Fucking awesome. Big week 4. But yeah, big win week 4. And then just sort of petered out for the rest of the season. But nah, love the Cats. Awesome team. They were the ones I supported on a personal level. First round pick, Sens. He did what you would expect him to do. 75-hour average, started every week. I think Jacqueline probably could have got better value for money at that stage in the competition, but he still did pretty well. Hene, what do we got? 14 average, 70, pick 76, started 6 times. Picked number 36. That's not too bad, I guess. But I don't know. Oh, actually, I should probably talk about that. So, initial draft. He had pick 1, pick 20, pick 21. And then after the trading he did, he had pick 4 and then pick 33. That was not very wise draft trading in my opinion. Not at all. I mean, he didn't have any here at all, but that's not the greatest. Higer did about what anyone would have expected him to do. 75 average over 5 starts isn't too bad with a 110, but the only problem is that 110 was week 1, and then after that he started dropping more and more. Not stunning, did another 100. Damn, that was an important week. These 3 here, big fucking week. 50, yeah, he got played a couple of times when he probably shouldn't have. Remember. Enemos died. He's actually fucking dead. Chicklin played him 2 weeks in a row where he did like 82 and 79, and then he died for the Cats. It's a bit sad, really. Hitty, I shit talked the Dutch, definitely shit talked the Dutch, but these two did really well. You know, average of 81 and 72, peak of 101. They killed really good times. The playoffs where they got beaten by almost 100 hours, but no, those two really good value for money. And then Cap King, 100% the MVP of the Catacomb Cats. Nobody would have expected this. Pick number 81, placed 14th with a 80-hour average and a 103 peak from fucking Cap King. Absolute legend. Love that pick. Originally had Omar, traded away. Talk about that later. Baloo didn't play. Pick Scott. I think he got a couple of decent weeks out of him. Then he disappeared to Jagex. I think he was back this week and played like 100 hours, but Jacqueline didn't play him. Probably, maybe could have won that one, but it doesn't matter. Abra didn't play. HP Girl was a free agent who also didn't play, and then trades. We may as well talk about that trade now. So it was D4L for Omar and Scott. Was it? Just check. No, it was Omar for D4L was the initial one. They had people up in arms. I didn't know that D4L was apparently going to be busy during the playoffs. He'd been putting in real fucking solid performances. Omar was and is a burnt bitch and was never going to be contributing in the playoffs. That's why I approved the trade, because I didn't honestly think that Omar would bother, so proved right there. Now D4L, good trade. He didn't actually really get them any important wins. I mean, luckily they got the bonus point there, and luckily they got the bonus point there as well. But yeah, good trade. Dalton never played. Bike Trail, that 2 starts. That was probably the less balanced of the trades, but didn't end up mattering. So no harm, no foul, maybe. And Jicklin, man, people shit talking Jicklin for nightmare zoning can go fuck themselves. Look at this. He comes in, puts out a fucking 111-hour week in nightmare zone while being Jicklin. That is fucking huge. Absolute monster. Unfortunately, he did 40 the week after and 70 the week after, and then in the playoffs did 53, and I think people saw him killing like KQ or something. But big respect, pulling himself in, picking himself up and putting in the big hours for the team. Overall, Catacomb Cats were the, I wouldn't quite say success story, but the unexpected success story of the season. Did a lot better than a lot of people thought they would. I mean, before I even start talking about the Dorgish Khan Devils, just look how fucking long this list is to get an idea of how their season went, with only 2 players left from their initial draft. One of them was himself, and the other was Paul No Life, who averaged 50 hours across 4 starts. That just kind of tells you a bit about the Dorgish Khan Devils. Probably the second of the managers that I didn't really know. Took a bit of a chance on and said, yeah, alright, you seem like you want to give this an honest shot. And he did. He hustled in the early season, traded a bunch of picks, lost his first round to pick up a couple here. Unfortunately, fuck Christ, those are awful. Jesus. Just looking at these, JCW would have been a really good pick if not for some unforeseen circumstances. Paul No Life, dog shit. Godtomina, dog shit. AJ, dog shit. Oscar, dog shit. So, was it self pick? I think it was. Dog shit. Astronis got banned. Dalton, dog shit. Bowson got banned. We did decently. Master Colin never played, and then a self pick. Hands down the worst initial draft. I think I ranked them at the bottom in my initial draft rankings. Let me have a look. I can't actually remember. No, I put Glorious Gang below them. Oh. How? Anyway. It's Paul No Life. Pick number 19. Ended up 98th with 196.2 hours, average 49 and a peak of 57.7. Not very good. JCW put out 2 100 plus hour weeks. You got 100 and you got 114, both in losses though. Would have been a good pick. God Tormentor picked. I mean, he was always going to do like the 60 to 70s. I'd be saying dog shit earlier was probably not accurate, but for pick number 22, not very good. Same as for AJ. I didn't expect him to be motivated to really try this season, and he didn't. I think he did one decent week for Team Death, otherwise not much. Oscar was one of the initial picks. 2 65-hour weeks, you know, that's just not good. So I mean, when you've got, that's just not great. Astronis did some decent hours, then got traded away and got banned. Dalton was an initial pick. Sleep never played. Dave never played. Cosmic Blues was traded to like 50 bloody teams, never played. This guy was banned the week after he was traded away to Team Death. Banned. I didn't understand the drop into this guy. I haven't actually looked into what he did after week 5, but look at that. Average of 67. Imagine if they had another player averaging 67 with a peak of 90. That would have been amazing for the Dorgish Khan Devils. Never played, traded away. I don't know why he picked up Jenny. And then there's these two who were both free agent pickups that were doing very well on the team. You know, you got King Sawyer 1 picked up here, did 78 and then did 80. He got traded away. Genitalia, who picked up, did 113 and then 120 and then got traded away. Can't remember off the top of my head who he got in those trades. Okay, so he traded Genitalia, picked up Genitalia, traded King Sawyer 1 for Sleeping on Ice. Don't understand that one. And Rigon Dude, aka a opposing manager, not the wisest trade, but got to pick up D86. Didn't know who that was. Still don't really know who that was. Then traded Genitalia for Swifts and Your Dad Gay 2, who had both been going very well at the time. But ended up doing much better on other teams than, I don't know. The Devils really frustrated me as a team because I was willing to let them make some sort of weirdo trades and keep doing the 2-for-1s to try and get better, because that's what the free agent pickup after uneven trade system is for. It's for a team to be able to improve. Fucking hell, they did themselves no favours. Just so much weird shitty trades, so many, I don't know. Finished 7-2, finished 8th, 2-7, sorry. Won twice against Glory's Gang and the Jigig Jostlers. Yeah, that's the Doggish Gun Devils. The Glory's Gang, 0-9, first team in fantasy EHP history to finish with no wins in a season. Not even the absolute fucking joke team of Team Hexus that included the extremely well performing Hexus leadership team was able to not manage to win a game. Seriously impressive stuff, hats off to them. 10th overall. Not actually a terrible points differential. But yeah, I don't really know how to describe their season. First round pick, E.G. Froggen. I thought that was a very, very bad first round pick. Because yeah, he can do a big week, but he's probably just gonna fuck off to go see some e-girl and then not play for a couple of months or something. So yeah, that was a bad first pick. Next pick was Salsa. I loved that pick. Ended up going real well. Average 84, peak 96, and then he went to the Devils where he did another few weeks, an average of 80, peak 85. Really good for the team. Next was Jace, who should have done a lot better, if not like JCW had some unfortunate rule changes come into effect. Constella. I don't know. Okay, so like the Glorious Gang in general frustrated me for a lot of the reasons that he exemplified, in that he played a lot against teams that they probably weren't going to be able to beat. You got 124 against the Lunatics there. 123, that one against the Jostlers. I think he started going really hard early on in that week, but yeah, just the team in general did a lot of their best performances against some of the better teams, rather than trying to put it over the Jostlers or put it over the Devils, or almost get one on Team Death and try and get themselves a playoff spot like that. Probably at least slightly down to a lack of internal communication. Sierra Hagen, decent, 66, peak 80. Lynx Titan, I wouldn't say probably shouldn't have been picked up, but I don't know, it's not the greatest. Audrey Horn, probably third best value pick for money. Could have been a lot higher in that value for money rankings if he wasn't on such a shit team and was slightly more motivated to play more. But not a real good performance there. And RM Tank played. AJ came in a trade, didn't do much. Oscar came in a trade, didn't do much. Same. Heartless G, I think, was a good pick for the Jostlers, did decently enough there, and I've got no idea who that is. No idea who that is. Salsa, I don't think you should have traded away Salsa, that was a weird trade. Euroan, that's not a very good performance. Jonas did a week of something. That's not a very good performance. Dreamworld was an awful pick, and Evan was a pretty dreadful pick. on paper they look like less of a 0-9 team than the Devils, but yeah, just general sort of not goodness in that team. 0-9. I mean, they got 5 points, unfortunately, which was tied for the most bonus points in the season. Fortunately, they were all losing bonus points with a at 30, 28. That's another close one. It's a very close one. That was the closest of the season from memory, and then another very close one. They could have bloody won this week as well, because Audrey did like 100 that week because he'd been away that week. Yeah, another frustrating team. The Jiggig Jostlers finished 9th on 6 points with 1 win, 2 bonus points. Pummeled week 1. I think week 2 was a big week for them in terms of in that because they lost that week, they lost a lot of motivation from that point on. Yeah, and then just sort of did 400 hours each week, dropping down to 380 by the end and being forced to bring out Razor Beast. Sheldunk, first round pick. Would have been a really good first round pick if he hadn't have been out again. Their next pick was Michael. Good pick. Traded him away to get a couple of players who ended up doing pretty well for them. A couple of players who were pretty instrumental in getting them their only win. Who's Rogue Law? Is it Dumbfounded? I think that was Dumbfounded. Decent pick, stealing another manager, self-pick. Didn't do quite as well for himself as last season, but that's probably because he didn't want to try because his team is kind of shit. Committee didn't do great. I don't understand why did he drop Heartless G or did he trade him away? Dropped Heart. I don't understand why he dropped. Oh, he traded him to the Lunatics for, who was it? Sleep. That was a bad decision. I don't know, he was doing well for that team. Average of 73, 78, peak 293. It's a solid performance. Then Lord Blackout played twice. And he got traded away because he wanted to do Brimhaven. Race Beast, very daring to pick him at number 48 considering what he's been up to lately. Brundeen, 72, good value for money, average of 80. Did 100 hours in the first week, not too bad. Middle of the road, tricky, not very good. Acquired, who the fuck is that? Is that Ray? I think it's Ray, came in from the Miracles. Didn't do much. Aziz, I don't understand that pick. Picking up an opposition manager there, very important stuff. Ended up contributing well into that win over the Glories gang with an 89-hour week, same as this god Kodud. Another big week to help them to their only victory of the season. Same with this one. Is it 250? 50s? Yeah, that's not great. Overall, I don't know, they were just sort of lacking at the start. Put them 7th at the start of the season, above Team Death and the Devils. I think they were probably a better team than the Devils, they just didn't really care at the end of the season. Probably worse than Team Death, but yeah, Jiggig Jostlers, they were a good bit of fun. The Lunar Lunatics with another pretty big roster there. I think getting those 2 first round picks was really good, really important, and it paid off well in terms of what they got out of those 2, both averaging in the mid to high 90s with big peaks and finished well overall. Pot eventually picked it up near the end of the season, but didn't do too much in the playoffs. I mean, that's not bad. 85-92, that's not too bad. The 112, which week was it? 112. It's the Yak Boys. Okay, that was not a very important week. Yeah. Not a great pick for number 20, but could have been good. Pano, a bit like Erob, eventually came into it and put in 130 and a 105 before disappearing for the playoffs, I think. I know he did another 118 and then disappeared for the final, but he could have been another 80 hours at least. Could have been a lot more competitive. Still good value for that far down. Mes 73, 4 starts. Is it 4? 3 starts, 92 average, 121 peak. That's good. So in the Swifts, 95. I mean, look at that, 95 average with 103 peak. That's solid, consistent, good shit. You got 93. 93 in a week that really mattered. 95 in a week that didn't really matter. 103 in a week that mattered. 94 in a week that was going to matter but they ended up losing. 89. Good solid performance. The self pick early on played twice and did 2 90s, I think. Oh no, it was this one, was it? Yes, a 96.45 and 96.47. That is remarkable consistency. Shockingly remarkable consistency. And was also value in a trading sense in that it got them Michael, who played a shitload. Bad pick, I mean, who did they get for him? They got your dad Gay 2, who just got traded away. There's a trade, city list. That's pretty good. 80. I mean, he only looks bad because there are other numbers that are so high, but 86 average off 3 starts, peak 100. That's good. Omnia Glad played week 1. Helped with that win. Heartless G was dropped. That's good and consistent 2 weeks. That's good and consistent 2 weeks. It's good and consistent 2 weeks. Bike Trail was one of my favourite acquisitions of the season in terms of consistency. I mean, look at that, you got 94, 96, 95, 96, and then he was traded away, but good pick. And then Ted's did the 100 hour third to last week. They lost, but it was a good week. Overall, Lunatics, they could have, I don't know what happened at the end of the season. They sort of just dropped off. Harm disappeared, Pot wasn't delivering, Pano did like a 12,000 hour agility month that finished the week before finals. Michael stuck to it. Scott was useful late on. Jenna was useful late on. Also, that trade kind of, so that was for a couple of goons to the Devils. I approved that trade because I didn't expect some guy who had just done their first ever 100 hour weeks to then go on and average 120 for the next couple and then do 127 and 150. Like, I will admit to a possible flub there and not expecting that to happen, but yeah, that was impressive finishing 15th overall off 6 starts with an average of 118. That's pretty fucked up. Yeah, Lunatics could have been a better team, I guess. Actually, no, they're a good team. They just fucking failed at the end. Failed to put up a fight in that final week. Kind of annoys me seeing this in the final week. Metafight Miracles lost the first 2 weeks. Won the next 5. Jesus, it was a much lower scoring week than I thought it was. What happened? Miracles were, I think I had them in 3rd, which I think they were probably at the end of the season they were probably the 3rd best team, let down by some interesting goings on. Yeah. Ardinio, good idea as a first pick. I don't know if anybody would have expected him to just completely pan out as fantasy started. Bit unfortunate. Ely did a bunch the first week and then don't know if he did any big number. There's 108, but it was a pretty big one anyway. 96, 65, 66, yeah. Good-ish for 28. Saltia, pretty good. I mean, finished 2nd overall, was voted the Players and Managers regular season MVP. This might be the first place I'm publicly announcing there, but yeah, congratulations. Get a trophy coming your way if you want it. Average 105, total of 945, peak 117. That is an outstanding record for a number 39 pick. Pilly, I don't even know how that's pronounced. Pilly. Decent. I mean, that's really what matters in terms of, because he was obviously a bench player, so having that high is what matters. He's played 1 week. Adam Jr. performed a lot better than his draft placing would imply. Did real well in that regard. Windows 10 basically played 1 week where he did 100 hours against the Jigig Jostlers. And then a 45, so not the greatest. K-Buns did a lot better than I was probably expecting. Peak 112, average 84, that's good. Pleb probably should have started in the semi-final, but when you're drafted number 102 and you finish 51 with an average of 90, real solid, real consistent. Furry Lord did 123 in the first week and then just dropped off and zoned from then in, I think. And then decided to show his nuts to everyone in the semi-final and not play. Possibly, I don't know, I think it's a toss-up between him and Lesby. Being the worst picks overall in terms of the overall impact on the season. And he was the second to last compared to the second pick though. Picked himself up in a trade. Did he play himself? Yeah, he played himself, so that potentially could have worked out. So that sort of late season self pick's not too bad. Bront picking up another manager who did decent-ish in playoffs. Good in playoffs actually. Traded away Ray. I don't know if he was going to play and dropped Zeem. He did a single 74-hour week. Yeah, Miracles had a lot of potential and a lot of. I think they were a genuine title contender, I reckon. I don't know if they could have faced the 880, 880 hours by the Brimhaven Big Ballers, but they could have put up a fight at least. They tried to. But yeah, good team overall. Didn't quite work out for them. The It Is Not Yak Boys is another one with a big long list here. Interesting bit of trivia, hold on. See if I can find it. They were one of the top picks at the start of the season to do very well, which I find quite interesting given how they ended up going. So look at this. You got the It Is Not Yak Boys tied for the fans. So this is right at the start of the season, just after the draft. I posted a poll, 101 responses, and that's a good few. And almost a quarter of them thought the Yak Boys would win, almost a quarter thought the Miracles would win. We got Brimhaven Big Ballers got 10%. Lunatics are at 10%. Man, you could have made a good bit of money if there was actual betting for this. I think I put them at like 5th. I did not like their initial draft. I thought it was pretty shocking. You got first round pick Lesby, did 73 hours and then stopped playing the game. Next was Soulace Lovey. He was averaging 93, but then he stopped playing himself after he got the managerial role. Boogeyman did real well, averaging 91, peak 103. Picked 24th, Blind Idiot. These two were roughly the same, just a bit higher here. Real good performances from those two. Here's QTM, and it's not too great. 68, peak 91's alright. Decentish, I guess, bench player. Toxic Waltz. Same. Then Socha, I think, was one of those ones that they dropped mid-season, then picked up again and did a bunch to beat the Brimhaven Big Ballers. They also, who did they have in their initial draft? So Dave was in their initial draft. I don't think that was a good one. Snoopy was in their initial. I think this is him. He didn't do very well. Ran Delicious, and Hex's Izzy didn't play at all. But yeah, so the initial draft was not good. They were lucky to beat the Devils week 1. They were thumped by Team Death week 2 on the back of a cheating scandal. I'll get to that. Narrowly beat the Glories gang. Lost to the Cats week 4, which was the end of their season right there effectively. If the Cats could just stay on track, given that they were all pretty much always going to beat the Jostlers, but were almost always going to lose to all of those teams. Yeah, it was a big week. So probably the biggest scandal of Fantasy HP season 3 had Randalicious convincing his players to actually go through the timeline as I've got it. Try to find the direct messages from people. So the week was going fairly normally, and then on the Saturday I received a message from their opposing manager. Hey, are you able to voice sometime today? I have some info about stored XP being used. It was very interesting to me. I was very intrigued because Randall was the one pushing the most at the start of the season for stored XP to not be allowed. So why would he go on to use it? It was a bit weird. Yeah, basically what ended up happening was I was in a call with a couple of people and I was shown the screenshots and that can't wait to finish his 40 hour. Do I just block NPCs behind it or what? I think it's talking about Nightmare Zone. I'ma do my tickets and tank NMZ, see y'all in 6 hours. How hard do you think Brim is on Chrome Remote Desktop with only intention of tickets, not other obstacles for XP? So that one right there was particularly incriminating in my opinion. If our lead gets to 110 by this time tomorrow, for those who don't, would you mind getting some please? So I'm guessing that was here asking people to start gathering tickets for the next week. Are you sure if I can tank 6 hours in Nightmare Zone at Future Manager, who has tiers/tickets stored for the following week? Oh, this is a bit of a weirdy one. Yeah, so they were fully intending to try and cheat. They did cheat. And gotta say, I was fucking pissed. I was not in a very good mood. At all. My initial reaction was what I initially wanted to do was just disqualify the whole team and bar all of the players who were on it from being able to play in any following weeks, but I gave it a bit of time to breathe and decided to keep the team around after the second cheater in the team was exposed. I politely asked Randall if he would be willing to step down, and he agreed. Yeah, wasn't too happy about that. And then, I don't know, Seth, fuck you, honestly. Jesus Christ, why the fuck do you have to make people's lives so difficult? I was the one who stuck my head out and said, okay, we'll keep the team in the competition, when basically everybody wanted me to just remove the whole team. And I just got treated like shit by this team for the rest of the season. Fuck the Yak Boys, not a fan. Not saying anything more about them. Actually, no, I will say one thing more. A fun little bit from that. So Randall was the first one to actually ask for the team chat, and then he started talking in a little bit and decided to go off and make his own one. And the final message he sent, which could come in useful, how to delete messages insanely fast on Discord. Yeah, fuck the Yak Boys. Relic Appearance Runners were tipped early on to do very well in the season, and they did pretty well. I think I put them second in my picks for how well they do, and they did pretty well. Karma first round pick was maybe a bit of a disappointment. I mean, 80 average isn't bad, but 91 peak for a first round pick isn't great. That Borsey did very well. Average 96, peak 110, that's fucking great. Sean Bay appeared late in the season to average 98 with a 102 peak and do pretty well in playoffs, 107 and 114. So that was a pretty good value pick. Delete was like the opposite of Sean Bay. I think one of them died and the other one was reborn from the ashes. Uktism did well considering I didn't know who he was before the season. You know, average 86, peak 122, and that definitely dropped off. You know, you got 72, 59, 67 at the end of the season, so the average could have been quite a lot higher. 10th overall isn't bad. Horde Lad, who knows. Steve Skill out, steal of the season, no question about it. Averaged 114 hours for 9 weeks straight. Pick 101, that is very good. Best pick of the year. Kirsten and Hempus were, Kirsten sub role didn't really do too great. Hempus sub role did real well a couple of times. They won 16 against the Lunatics that they lost anyway. But yeah, good picks for how low down they were. D4L early on pick did really well for them, 92, 101, that's nice. This was a good pick because he then traded him away for himself, and he did generally pretty well, I reckon. The Dead Cantus did like 1 week in week 7, 8. When was it? 6. When did he play? He did like 101 week. Is this him? It must be him. 108 1 week. And then died the week after. So not a bad late season pickup. I think Penance runners overall they're a good team. Finished third overall. Playoffs, put up 7-17 after beating the Cats. Just really consistent, but kind of lacked a bit of the oomph at the end of the season to really push them into championship. And then Team Death, I really didn't rate them at the start of the season because they had a bunch of people whose names I had never seen before, but they did pretty well given the fact that their first round pick died straight away, and then did eventually resurfaced to do 150 hours of mining in what would have been the final week. Next pick was No Vacation. He did well. Yeah, average 86. Alexel. Those two were sort of the same. So Dynamic ended up taking a lot of the managerial responsibilities at the back end of the season. Average 80, peak of 1 or 2. That's real nice and consistent. Glads, I think he gained something like 60% of his total EHP during the competition, so that's not too bad. Jenny played himself a few times, it did alright. Lucata played a few times. I think Cosmic Blues was one of theirs at the start of the season. Fico did alright. Pat Ford did decently for them. They got traded away. C-Lab did decently. Deco did 122 week to get them that win. And never played again. But yeah, they just failed to win sometimes. Like they could have won this one. They possibly could have won that one. They possibly could have pushed for a win on that one. They should have won that one by more. They only just won that one, and then lost that one, and then in the finals just kind of fell over and didn't try. Yeah, I don't know what really went wrong in Team Death. They could have done a lot better given their stats, but they all just sort of fired at different times rather than all going together at the same time. Fifth overall, made the playoffs, not bad. And then after almost an hour we get to probably the actual meat of the video, which is the league itself and how I think it went. I was happy with it overall. In terms of how it went, I wasn't happy with a lot of aspects of it. I came into it wanting to serve as more of like a facilitator role. As a, if you guys want to do this, I will sit back and do the back end work and you guys can have your little competition. I don't even fucking play the game anymore. And I ended up having to get a lot more involved than I wanted to. Due, in my opinion, to just pure and utter selfishness on the part of managers and of people. a lot of people complaining, oh, why didn't we get time at the start of the season to go through and sort out the rules. I did give people time at the start of the season to go through and sort out the rules. A couple of weeks before it booted out, I posted, okay, these are some of the ideas I have for the season. Posted like I was sitting on the toilet at work, and I just posted a bunch of them. Got some replies. Nobody really suggested anything outside of them. Got all the managers together in the Discord, made the manager chat and said, has anyone got any ideas? We ended up banning stored XP. But the problem was a whole lot of other people had other plans for shit that they wanted to do that they didn't want to bring up because they wanted to use them. And that was the big problem. People wanted themselves to do well. And that really got to me. Because, I mean, the changes I made to... So this was probably the main change. There was the swimming rate change, which ended up being CML wide, and then there was this weird sort of arbitrary only one alt rule that ended up being there, and I think it worked out well. I don't know if there were any instances of people trying to cheat by using more than one alt. I think somebody might have done Slayer with 2 at some stage earlier or in the middle of the season, but it didn't really matter because I can't remember who it was. I ended up putting this rule here in late because I heard whisperings of teams trying to get themselves purposefully subbed out. Bonus points, not really a success actually. They had absolutely no influence on the final standings. Final standings would have been exactly the same if there were no bonus points. They certainly increased the spectacle of the season, but I think the weighting of 1 point for a bonus point versus 4 for a win when there are only 9 games in a season isn't quite great enough for it to make a significant enough effect. Would I advocate for bonus points to be used again? Yes. Do I think they make much of an impact? No. Bonus points. Trading. So a lot of people were quite upset with how I handled trading. Fair enough. I didn't want to have to handle trading, but fuck man, some of the trades that got sent to me, so especially right near the end, I was catching a bit of flack, people complaining about me taking a while to respond to the trades, but that was mostly because I would read the trade and think, why the fuck do I have to read this? Please actually propose something slightly more realistic. And then I might respond, but I didn't actually respond because I'm terrible at talking to people. Man. I don't think that free agent pickup is a necessarily broken concept, provided everyone is aware of it. I know in particular Jicklum didn't know that it was something when where was it? Before mid-season. Cats traded Sleeping on Ice to the Dorgish Khan Devils for JCW and Omnia Dolty. Neither team got anything out of that trade. They also dropped Abra, but DD picked up Genitalia, and this is because Jicklib didn't even know or take into consideration the fact that the other manager was getting a free pickup. And so I think that the free pickups are fine provided both parties are aware of what is happening and take into consideration that the other team is going to pick someone up. And yeah, I only wanted to intervene in the case of just absolutely ridiculous trades, and I did turn down a few near the end of the season. I turned down trades that would have resulted in 2 or 3 free agent pickups because it's just ridiculous. I mean, the team that won off of their starting lineup, The team that was second had 4 out of 7, which is desirable. I think trading was not as bad as people like to make it out to be. It did diminish the free agent week. I think a change that could be made if this is run again would be to have a second free agent week, both because it would increase the amount of free agents getting picked up, and also because it seems like people pick up a bit after having a week off. Going from average 77 to average 91 after the week off. So another free agent week just for having a week break could be a good idea. Manager responsibilities. Everybody submitted their team lineups on time. It was awesome. I put in this rule that this was their last season, where if they failed to submit it, they got a randomised team. That never happened. Put this one in because last season I had a couple of managers just completely fucking drop out and give up, and that really pissed me off. But this season, everyone, even the team that went 0-9, submitted their lineup on time. So that was good for me. And then there was some people didn't agree with this one, which I don't know. That kind of so thematically, it is a fantasy EHP competition. So fantasy, and by that I mean it is not on the manager to control what the player does. The manager selects the player and then the player plays. If they get banned or whatever, it's not on the manager, it's on the player. I don't know, I've probably thought about this and explained it in my head too many times to get a coherent sort of explanation now when I've been talking for the last hour. But yeah, I have no problem with the band. Like, if someone's 2-date or whatever, I have no problem with them staying on the team. If someone's perm banned, I have no problem with that team being able to pick up a free agent afterwards, because it's not the fault of the team or of the manager that the player was permanently banned. They still face the consequence of that player losing out in the middle of that week. I think that whole idea of it being a fantasy competition was a lot in opposition to what I was doing, especially in regards to trying to really encourage player interaction and player engagement. So in the first season, it was an absolute fucking free-for-all. Nobody knew who was playing when. Second season, it was a bit more structured because people saw the success of teams that communicated doing well. And then in the third season, people were talking to each other a whole lot, and there was a lot more hype around it. And there was a lot more emphasis on performance of individual players, especially due to how much I was highlighting in quote-unquote official media. You know, how well each player was doing, and having the green next to your name, and the blog, which I was so this was sort of a vanity project for me. I wanted to do something that would leave a mark going forward for the season, that would leave a record of the season going forward. I still have to write the finals right up. I can't be fucked doing that tonight. I'll probably do it tomorrow night. But I think it gives a nice record of the season to look back on and to view how it progressed, and I'm just glad I didn't give up writing it partway through. There was quite a bit of work. I think I probably put in too much work to the season than I should have. I should have done a bit more to delegate. I felt a lot of the reason why I didn't do any of that was because the one person at the start of the season who was supposed to help me decided to cheat and then disappear, and I was pretty fucked off about that. And just in general, I'm not very good at trusting other people to do work that I could be doing, because then I feel obligated to make it consistent with everything else, and it just doesn't do very well. One area where I maybe could have employed people, I guess, would be in terms of judging trades, because I don't know people, straight up. Admittedly, I don't play, but even when I was still playing, I didn't know people, and I had to judge largely on numerical value and searching for messages recently in the Discord chat to see if they'd said anything like they were going to burn out. I think the Metafight Miracles tried to offer Windows 10 and Zeem for Dumbfounded, and I said no, and they were furious about this because Windows 10 had a 100-hour week, but I searched his name in the Discord and found out that he'd been sending messages like, I'm not going to play anymore, I'm burnt, I'm not doing this anymore. So yeah, the trades wouldn't be an issue if people didn't try to pull wool over my eyes. Yeah. This has gone on way too long. Successful season. I can't be fucked doing it next year. I haven't been involved in the game for 6 months. I wouldn't have been involved in the game for 18 months at that stage, and I just don't think I care to do another one. If somebody does decide to, I don't think I'd be able to stop myself from lending a hand if they want one, but no, I don't want to do it again. I did enjoy doing it. I'm unhealthily obsessed with like tracking numbers and stuff. You never would have picked up on that, but yeah, I enjoy that sort of stuff, and I enjoyed running the season. I think the season was a success. I think the engagement that we got from the community was good. I think the amount of RuneScape that people were playing was disgustingly unhealthy, and I am ashamed of myself for encouraging that sort of activity. And I can't think of anything else to say. I've been talking for way too long, and I'm kind of hungry at this point. Yeah, I'm enjoying not playing RuneScape though.